Okay. Okay, so.
Can I get you anything to drink? You want another cup of coffee?
Oh, you're fine.
Okay.
I appreciate it, though. So, welcome to. Oh, goodness, what date is this? This is December 29th,
I think.
2023. This house address is. What's the address of the house?
7350 Town Line Road.
Perfect.
Town Wheatfield.
So, state your name.
My name is Cindy Driscoll.
And I'm Justin Higner, Town of Wheatfield Town Historian. And like I said, your name is that's your married name.
It's my married name, yes.
And you married someone who is attached to the people who had a farm in Pendleton,
yes,
across the way.
Driscolls.
The Driscolls. And when was this house built then?
This house was built in 1927.
And there was a family before your family that moved in, like
my family moved in, my husband and I moved in 69. My parents, we bought the house for my dad after my mom died. They moved in 50. Oh, this is ours. This one just turned to me. I don't know. I thought that I was 12.
That was fine.
I was 12 when we moved. It was 50 something. Maybe this is it. No, this is us again.
57, 58.
Around there, yes. Like I said, I was 12.
I took the pictures before, and I think it was something like that, right?
Right.
And so, you were talking about the water arrangement at the back of this place, which I found the most fascinating. Like there were wells, and
we had two wells.
There were surface ponds, and tell us about how you got your water off the back.
Okay. Well, the house water was from a well in the front, but it was really bad water. It was so full of iron that our sinks, toilets, everything, they were all rusted. They got all rusted because of the water. But we did have a well in the back that was probably, I would think, the original well.
Mm-hmm.
Where the water was absolutely wonderful. It was so clear, it was good. And we used to drink that water instead of the water in the house because of it being so good and the water in the house being so bad. At one point, my parents did get a water softener, but that even made it worse drinking. Because have you ever drank water from a water softener?
I think yes. We had a couple of stayover cabins on occasion over there in Allegheny or something like that.
Oh, yes.
And some water softeners were used to kind of.
It was great to take showers and stuff like that, but it was not good to drink.
No. And didn't you say that what was it? Your husband had said that's a wonder that
my father.
Your father said that there was a wonder that the water didn't make noise as it hit
didn't
the sink
clink
because
when
of
it hit
all
the sink. Yes,
right.
It was so full of iron. Yes.
Yeah. And so since then that well has been covered over or
yes. I'm trying to think. I was in high school when we got city water. I can remember them digging the trench from the road to the house. So, and I can't remember what year it was, but I was in high school.
Right. Okay. And so this house has had some renovations too. It's 2 stories high, and the front room here that's been there, right? Or was that the original front porch too?
That was the original front porch, but I opened it. It used to be an enclosed porch.
Oh, okay.
And then I opened it in 20, I would say 2014, 2015, around there. My husband died in 2013, so it was after that. So I can't remember if it was the spring after that, or if I think it was the spring after that. That's one of the first things I did after her died.
And then there was a part of the kitchen you said here at the very front.
Yes, the kitchen used to be a L shape.
In the southeast corner of the kitchen area.
Yes, and that was a porch. And but we squared off the house.
Yeah, to give you more room for that kitchen, because you were saying that
It was terrible.
everybody had to really snake around past the stove. And
You're right. The stove is right there.
Right over there.
And this really was approximately where the kitchen table was. And so if we had company and if I was cooking, I'd have to say, well, could you move so I can get to my stove?
Exactly.
Because the chair would go right up against the stove door for the oven.
Yeah, it's really. Yeah, and you were talking also about what used to be just out in the backyard. You're saying that there were essentially orchards.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Back
there was all kinds of apple trees, all different kinds of apple trees. There was a German prune tree. There was a sugar pear tree, they called it. That was a pretty tree. It was nicely shaped. It was a pretty tree. But by the time my husband and I bought it, even when my parents bought it, had started really going. The trees were starting to rot out and, and everything. But, I don't know if they did this for themselves and canned or if they sold. I don't know.
Right.
But the original owners of the house are Marzoffs. So, and of course, John's gone now, so he was older even than my parents. So.
Oh goodness, right? Oh goodness, yeah.
So
it would have been something to talk to.
Yes.
Yeah, at the time. And there used to be other things back there too, well, you said a shed, right?
Well, that's the original shed. Yes, that was there when my parents.
Okay, right there. Sure, I wanted to say that is quite the historic building right there.
Yeah.
It looks like it was here when the orchard was. So that the shed you were mentioning before, that's it. That's
yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I think there on the thing it does say an auto building. But I don't know exactly how far back that goes. If it was original when they built the house or not, I don't know.
So when you moved in here, and that was again when you were 12 years old.
When I was 12, yes, in the 50s.
How much has the neighborhood changed in this area? Essentially, what was around you? How many other houses were around you at the time?
Because of it being Hoffman Station, with it being a railroad station, this was like a little community. I mean, all the houses, like these 3 houses were here. The house next door that's Bandinelli's house now. The house next to that wasn't there. Then there was the farmhouse. And then there was that house, but that was there. It was a little Cape Cod. That was there. And the same thing, like I said, it was like a little community here.
As it was a hamlet. And
yes.
It was built around the original Hoffman station.
Right.
And the house across the way in Pendleton there, right by the line and where the Rails to Trails biking path is, at least where it's completed up to it right now. That was where the Hoffmans had historically lived.
Yes.
And that was in that area must have been the station itself. Something.
I always thought the station was on this side, but I don't think it was. I think it was like on the other side of the tracks, on the Pendleton side.
Okay.
Very close to the road.
And on the other side of the tracks from their house, probably, right?
Right, like Hoffman's house, and then it would be the tracks, and then it would be the station. I think
the northeast area probably was probably
I think
from what people might have said at the time, or also.
The reason why I got the idea of it being in Wheatfield at the time was because of my father-in-law, but I was younger then. As you get older, history means more to you.
Certainly.
Like, I hated history in high school. I love it now. Just love it. I will delve into it as much as I can. Okay? But I always thought, what do I need to know about that when I was in school? I still don't think I needed to know about the wars in the 16 to 1700s, right. Or overseas. But yes, I mean, Civil War got me going, I guess, on it. I love anything to do with Civil War. World War II, very interested in that. And I think it just goes from there.
It just goes from there. For me, it's Titanic and other things. Maritime history got me into 2 things, history and art. And I do pretty much everything passion-wise with those things. And there are a few other things I've done. But Yeah, there are always those things that are the kernels of experience, and the kernels of experience then
Right.
pop like a popcorn, and that you get a whole bag of good,
Right.
hopefully,
In fact,
out of it. You know?
my two daughters and
Yeah.
I just went on a Mississippi cruise on a paddle boat
Mm.
this past spring,
Mm.
and
Mm. Mm.
very very history laden. You know, because we stopped at all these different places up at two. We ended up in Memphis. We started in Louisiana and ended
Mm.
up in Memphis, and all
Wow.
these different places where they had battles of the Civil War and stuff,
Mm.
and that was very
Right.
interesting. I really enjoyed
Oh,
myself.
and then so and it's another facet of local history in a sense too, because it's our
Yes,
national history, and
right.
or even Canadian across the way. We're we have a very close relationship with Canada, and
Mm-hmm.
all the different things that happen up in there in our relationship. War of 1812, as a is I'm a fan of the underdog. I like certain things that are a little less well known, and then looking into that and
Yes.
justifying them. The merchant marines of our countries and the trooping voyages of World Wars One and Two. I mean, all these different things people don't really. They like the battleships,
Yes.
but they're not aware of what brought the troops
Right.
to these
Right.
places in the first place. And they were converted ocean liners, and a lot of risk bringing those guys over
Well,
back
I
and
think a
forth.
little bit of the World
So
War II. I mean, my dad was
yeah.
in World War II, so
Mm.
um, knowing because he
Mm.
served in Africa
Ah,
and
okay.
in Italy and in France.
Wow. Right. Right. Yeah.
So, hearing different
Wow.
things about that. And then with my son in law being the German teacher, that I was telling you
Right.
about. And
Yeah.
he knows a lot about World War II and the Germans and stuff like that because of it.
Mm.
And he and I have a lot of talks.
That's great. That's great too,
Mhm.
because I was speaking to Diane Retzlaff across town, and she is the living on the old Retzlaff farm yet, and
Mhm.
she was telling me that her family actually made up a number of care packages, among other families, to give to relatives overseas. These are people who they might have never really met, of course, before, but they
Right.
were descendants. They're mutually descendants of both those families that stayed there and those who immigrated here and had descendants. And so she's like, it was our way of kind of giving back a little from this country to help
Mm-hmm.
some of our people
Right.
that were still overseas kind of
Right.
survive, or even just other troops and
Right.
unrelated people, just
Right.
because a lot of American families were sending care packages over to,
Right.
soldiers overseas to help them get by in a very devastated country,
Right.
at that point.
Well, not only
So,
that, but I mean, different things even with the family. Like my sister was born when my father was overseas.
mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
He didn't even know whether he had a girl or a boy until she was 6 months old. Okay,
Sure.
he never met her face to face until she was 2.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So,
Right.
how times
Yeah.
have changed. I mean, now the soldiers at least get time where they come home for a little bit. I don't know if it's good or bad, really. But yeah, I mean, just different things like that. How things have
They can
changed.
talk to them instantly now over the
Mm-hmm.
phone or something, whereas before you have to wait, right? Or
Right.
wait for that postcard or that letter.
Yes.
Civil War, of course, letters are so dear and important,
Right. In fact, I do have a letter from. Now, come to think, I don't know if it's from my father to my aunt, his aunt actually, or vice versa.
Mm.
And that was very interesting.
Yeah. And that ties into family history too, and
Mm-hmm.
so forth. Yeah. And so, with all that's changed in this neighborhood, do you think Hoffman Station is still has that same kind of identity to a good extent yet, or how has that changed a little?
I don't know. Just because, I mean, when I was a kid and we moved here, okay, the same people who lived here had been here for years. And of course, eventually they got old, they passed away, they sold their houses, new families moved in. And we were one of them.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
we were one of them.
Us too.
Um, but then it has changed all over again. I mean, like the people, Bandinelli's on the other side of me. I can't remember the year they moved in, but my kids were teenagers. So again, that's new families coming in, and so it doesn't have the same vibe because they aren't close.
Right.
I mean, we knew everybody in the neighborhood, you know, just everybody. You just knew everybody. And now I know no one. I know my two neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
I know the people across the road only because they're related to the Hoffman from the Little Gray House.
Right. So
Other than that, I have no idea who lives where.
I get responses too from people that I interview when they say, "Oh, where's your daughter, your son, or your grandchildren? Oh, one's living in Kansas, one's in Michigan, one's in Japan, one's in."
Right.
I mean, and then eventually they coalesce maybe around Christmas time or Thanksgiving, but then I got to catch that plane.
Right.
And the phone's back up to the head again, and so their minds are
Yes.
not.
I'm
here.
very lucky.
Yeah.
All my children are here.
Right. My mother.
All my grandchildren are here.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm.
So I am very lucky that way. I have a girlfriend who her grandchildren are in California.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm very lucky that way. In fact, my one daughter lives in my husband's family's homestead.
Mm-hmm.
So when my father-in-law died, she bought a homestead from the, from the estate. So whatever estate there was,
Right.
estate sounds like it's going to be something big. It wasn't
Something
big.
huge. It's a legal term. Mostly.
Yes.
We have an estate ourselves, although it is a big house.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, these are the local community. Meant as we said before, the kids didn't have even allowances or really real jobs for a while. They pick their change up wherever someone happened to drop it, or in field days with the games going on, the pennies and dimes and nickels, and go up to the backs of different people's homes where the women, grandma this or grandma that. Everyone was a grandma to everybody.
Right.
It seems. And sell penny candy out the back or something like that, just for a little nest egg to have at home. You might turn that into an extra loaf of bread for something you were thinking of making for the family, and you raised your own money a little bit as a woman, doing that, as an older woman anyways, doing that. And while the men were doing their usual jobs, either out in the fields or in shops or in factories like Bell eventually for later. But it is amazing how communities evolve and then evolve out of themselves.
Right.
And
well, it's just like
tracking that has been interesting.
I mean, I can remember as a kid. Okay, the country cottage was there. Believe it or not, when I was a kid, It wasn't like it is now, but it was just this little place that had a few stalls you could sit in, and we used to hang around there Friday and Saturday nights. Buy a Coke, buy a box of chips or whatever. That was it for the night, and put money into the jukebox. But think nothing of it. To walk there, of course, it would be early, 5 or after supper. But think nothing at 11 o'clock at night when it closed to walk home in the dark by yourself.
Right.
Think nothing of it. There would be no way that I would let anybody do that now.
That's about not even a quarter mile up.
It's a mile. Exactly a mile. Exactly 1 mile. Actually, really. Well, exactly a mile from where the train tracks used to be. And the reason why I know, shouldn't let you know, that when Town Line, the way it is now, it comes out onto Crescent or onto Town. Okay, they used to be straight. Okay,
right.
Town Line used to be straight from Tonawanda Creek all the way down. Okay, and there was a stop sign on the corner of Crescent and Town Line, and it used to be exactly a mile from that stop sign to the railroad tracks. And then it was exactly a mile from the railroad tracks to the country cottage. The reason why I know is because it was a great, I don't want to say it, drag racing. Because you used to drag for a mile.
Oh, right, yeah.
And that's what they would start at that stop sign and go to the tracks, or from the tracks go to the...
And roar on from there, yeah.
Yes.
Right, because the engines were powerful.
Yes.
Back then, the V8s.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so that's how I know.
Did you drag race?
No, I didn't drag race.
Okay,
No, I didn't drag race. I was a little... out of that, that was the 50s.
Mhm.
That was the 50s, and I was more 60s, you know,
Right,
once I
right,
got
right.
into, because I didn't get my license until probably, what, 63, 62,
Mm.
63, something like
Right,
that. So that was a past thing then.
right,
You
right.
didn't drag anymore.
Right. Imagine tearing it up, such
Yeah.
a,
I mean, some
yeah,
stuff that we
yeah.
did, you know,
Mm.
I often, kids wouldn't think about doing it now, and I think, oh my God, we must have been little hellions.
Only in hindsight. Maybe in hindsight. And the country cottage probably wasn't called country cottage.
Yes, it
then.
was.
And it really was, though.
It was.
Okay.
It was called the Country Cottage, yes, and they had the pig's dinner.
Mm.
Where it was served. It was like a big um, banana split, I guess, and it was served in a wooden trough. And they always said if you could eat it, you got something. You know, I
Right,
don't know if you
right.
got a free. I can't remember now, but you would get a free. It was big. It had 3 or 4 scoops of ice cream, and then all this garbage on it, and
Wow.
whipped
Huh.
cream and nuts. And
Yeah, they sort of telling me that too about what they kind of used to be, but not as extensively as one who was there.
Mhm.
Essentially when it was a smaller place, and there's a big house across the way from it too.
That
On the
was
Wheatfield side.
McCarthy's. Yeah, that was
Ah,
McCarthy's. I went to school with Penny. She was a year older than me, and they used to have racehorses
oh, okay. On that lot right there, yeah.
on the lot that would be closer to me. Okay, there was a big ring,
Hmm.
and they used to train their horses.
Hmm.
Um,
Right near
they
across
were
from the country cottage and
right
that
across from the
land,
country cottage. Yeah,
and on that estate there, yeah.
and there's houses there now.
Well, what?
um,
Huh.
yeah, there was a big field there, and they had the the ones out with the buggies. That's what it was. The one with the buggies.
Okay,
Yes.
right. Oh, okay, those. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But that house must be quite old in itself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's been sold many times.
yeah.
Many times.
Very interested to get in there too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's got columns across the front of it, and it's a
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
interesting place.
it's been renovated a couple of times
Mm,
too.
nice.
So I mean, like the whole house, I think. So
What were some of the more interesting people or events that took place along the street?
oh golly, I the drag racing, that was always. I can't remember the kid's name, but it was in the 50s, prom night for North Tonawanda High School, because that's where the high school kids went.
Mm. From this area.
From this area, yes. Start Point didn't open until I was in 5th grade. Okay.
Mm.
So that was a year after we moved in. The year we moved in, actually. Yes, because I went to Start Point in 5th and 6th grade. Other than that, we went to one-room schoolhouses.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to ask you maybe if you went to any of those.
Yeah, and I loved them. I really did. I think I learned more there than what I ever. Especially if you were the middle class. There was 3 grades in each class or in each school, and one teacher. And that teacher had to teach all 3 grades. And while he was teaching one grade, like I was in 3rd grade when we moved here from Dunkirk, and I went to Cambria 4. It was on the corner of Saunders Settlement and Cambria Road. Because I was in the top grade, okay, while he was busy with the 2nd graders, Mr. Weiser was the teacher. While he was busy with the 2nd graders, we would have the 1st graders read to us for part of the reading lesson. Mm-hmm. So we were also became almost like teachers.
Right, you're tutoring each other, essentially, yes. Right. As a matter of course of rinse and repeat with the information, right?
Yes. I mean, we went to outhouses. We did not have inside. It sounds so bad now, but we did. It was a wonderful time. It really was. But anyway, to get back to, because of the one-room schoolhouses, and a lot of them quit at grade 8. Mm-hmm. So once you got to grade 9, you were bused to Lockport, Wilson, and T. Mm-hmm. So the kids in this area went to NT. And like I said, I can't remember the kid's name, but it was prom night. And there used to be the train. that went, across the road here. And he was speeding, coming home in the middle of the night from prom, and he hit that train going. I can't tell you how fast.
Oh my God.
Because there was no lights. There was
Right,
no
right.
such thing as the blinking lights. All it was just a little road sign that said railroad.
Just to mark it out, yeah.
And yeah, and he hit it. I wasn't here at the time. It was before I moved here.
Mm.
But I mean, that was a thing for many years. About the kid that, he died instantly.
Oh.
So
And the
that
school.
was one thing, that was talked about for years after.
Hi, Mom. It's about 20 to 2.
My daughter.
If you're home in time, I was wondering if you could take Faith to work. I mean, I have a call out Holly too, and then we'll try to call Kathy. I just don't think we'll be home in time. We're doing something with the Murphys. Okay. I'll call my cell phone. 716-531-2454.
We could delete that. She
said,
never
yeah.
calls me. Only she needs something.
Anyway,
So, but anyway, yeah, and like I said, we across the road we called it Hoffman's Hill. It was not Hoffman's Hill, it was Loveland's Hill. And that's where we went sledding. We used to have to go across the creek in order to get to it, and it was not a winner unless you went through the creek.
right. Oh yeah, and then you were baptized a little
Yes.
bit.
Oh yeah. That happened 2 or 3 times a year. That was, And then on Charlie Hoffman's property, there was a ice skating rink. It's just a pond. It's just a small pond that froze over in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
But all the families used to go there. I mean, I can even remember my aunt and uncle coming here and spending, a couple of days with my parents. And the whole family would go there, and the kids would skate, and the parents would talk, and there'd be a bonfire. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It just, don't do stuff like that anymore,
When neighbors would get together for something,
Yeah.
kind of shit,
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's really
Yeah, and then
yeah.
Myers is next door. All the parents would get together and sit in the driveway, and us kids would all play hide and seek.
While they talked and catched up with things. Yeah.
But like I said, we don't do that anymore. So it's a shame.
And when you went to the Warner schoolhouses, are they were there the ones up in here towards Sanborn more, or was there one closer to
there
here?
was some around here, but it's a long story. We moved here from Dunkirk, like I said, when I was in 3rd grade, and we lived on Saunders Settlement Road.
Right.
All right. We lived there a year, and then we moved into a duplex on the lower end of town line, okay, past the country cottage. Well, when we moved there was not room in the one-room schoolhouses for my sister and I in the schoolhouses around here. So we were bused to, my sister was bused to what was it? It was a town hall. What town hall was it? It was on the corner of, we're going back so far, my brain.
It's okay.
Lower Mountain and I can't remember the name of the road now, but it was the town hall.
Oh, okay.
It was a town hall I can't remember the town, to tell you the truth. Maybe it was
like
a town of
Cambria?
Cambria.
Yeah,
I
was
think
going to say
was
Cambria. Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Could have been there, yeah.
So that's where she went in 7th grade. I was going to Cambria. Hers was Cambria 7. It was called Cambria 7. I was going to Cambria 5, I think it was called. And it was right across from where Bosse's is now in Saunders Settlement.
Oh, okay, right, sure. Right
They made that into a house. It is now a house.
Okay.
Okay. A lot of these old one-room schoolhouses, they transformed into houses. So there's another one on the corner of Mapleton and Aiken.
Right over there, yes.
That was I don't know what it was called, what number it was, but that was a school that they turned into a house.
I think it's on the east side of that street. I think I remember seeing.
Yeah, facing Mapleton from Aiken. Okay,
Oh, okay.
it's in this corner, so it'd be what, the northwest corner.
Okay. Oh, perfect then. Okay.
Yeah, Sadler's
So
was
Aiken.
over here, and this was over here. Sadler's was here. This is Mapleton, and it was here. So, yeah, that's what they did with a lot of the old houses, or a lot of the old schools. They made them into houses. Like I said, I was in 5th grade, so that would have been 10 when I started at Star Point.
And you raised your family here in this house.
I raised my family
Yeah,
here. Yes,
Mhm.
we moved in when my oldest daughter was a year old, maybe a year and a half, maybe 18 months.
Gotcha.
So.
Well, what sort of lessons would you impart to younger people like me, or anybody living in neighborhoods like these? What can we do to keep places like this kind of going, kind of like what you remembered?
I don't know. With the people aren't like they used to be. I mean, people were outgoing then and did things like, I don't know. Since my husband died, I don't know what I would do without Sue and Brad.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
They have been so helpful to me.
Right.
They help me out so much, and Bandinelli's also, they do, but not as much as Sue and Brad. And you just, you don't have that. Like I said, I don't know anybody.
Right.
I don't know how can you, if you don't know your neighbors, how can you, and they don't want to know you. That's
Well,
the thing. They don't want to know you.
Yeah.
They're too busy with everything else. I know they're very busy with their work and stuff like that, and with their children.
They're young. Yeah, right.
But we were busy too.
Right.
But we didn't have, the big thing was the TV.
Mm-hmm.
Where now, look at what they have. So they don't go out, they don't even go out of their houses.
They're too distracted, maybe, with too much going on. And perhaps people would have longer to stay in their homes in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
If, for example, if neighbors at least occasionally checked on other neighbors again. And so maybe that would impact healthcare, that would impact, in a positive sense, that would impact community involvement and awareness of projects. We know that local newspapers aren't around very much anymore. That used to keep people more informed and would keep local governments, national, state governments more transparent to the people, because we would be more informed more immediately.
Well, and I'm the same way, really, though. I mean, I don't know that much about the town of Wheatfield. I really don't. As many years as I've lived here, I really don't know that much about the town of Wheatfield. I don't know anything about the politics. But I'm not a politics person. I don't like politics.